Hey guys, Tom itself here with a video I've been thinking about doing for a while now. This is actually a warm-up game from our Squad Rush PTFO tournament in the first round, and I pulled out the PP-2000 for our games, so I was running recon, and I did fairly well with them, and people went, why are you using that gun, and how are you doing so well with it? This is like, hey, I like this gun, so I'm going to kind of try to talk about that in this video. But first, I got a couple things to get through. The Episode 4 of the podcast is up. We talked about personal stats, and the other topic was how games are changing. Yeah, that's an absurdly broad topic, but we had some fun, and I hope you guys enjoy listening to it. I'll put a link to that in the description and on the screen. And also, if you go there, you'll find that there's some way to get it from iTunes. So if you just want to listen and don't feel like watching all the videos, that is now an option. Alright, so let's talk about SMGs, PDWs. I'm going to make some comparisons to COD, so let's just get them out of the way. The advantages of SMGs in Call of Duty games are supposed to be your mobility. You have maximum mobility with an SMG. Your hipfire just tends to be a bit better, but steady aim can kind of cancel that out. It's one of the perks. And your ADS time is supposed to be among the faster ones. Again, though, there's perks that can mess with that. So that's what you're supposed to be able to do. Run around fast, hip fire if you have to, and otherwise just get on target quickly in those close range gunfights, and that's supposed to be your advantage. Now, depending on which Call of Duty game you're playing, you may have a faster, equal, or lower time to kill compared to an assault rifle. So if you come around a corner and the assault rifle guy is already pointed at your face, you're not going to win that gunfight. So it requires a certain degree of predicting which way people are looking, or being stealthy. Battlefield 3 is fairly similar. Now, it throws the idea of mobility completely out the window, because every gun has the same mobility in Battlefield 3. So, yeah, you can run around and get behind people with an LMG just as easily as you can with a PDW. It's going to take longer to raise the gun up, it's going to take longer to point the gun down the sights, and you're going to have worse hipfire accuracy if you have to do that. But in terms of mobility, no, they're the same. Now, the Battlefield 3 PDWs are all over the map on times to kill. You got stuff that's pretty fast, like the MP7. It's a 5-hit kill at 950 rounds per minute, to fairly slow like the UMP-45. It's a 4-hit kill, but it's all the way down at 300 rounds per minute. And for the most part, you're not going to beat assault rifles. So if you come around with an assault rifle looking at you, even if you're close range, that's not an advantage for the PDW, because the assault rifle guy is just going to pull the trigger and game over. So we need to talk about one of the other advantages of Battlefield 3 PDWs. Now, if you're familiar with gun mechanics in Battlefield, you know that when you aim down your sights, you're not perfectly accurate. There's all sorts more mechanics going on with this, but in general, it's just one of the unique things about Battlefield. It's how they've tried to make the guns distinctive and balanced. So PDWs, not super accurate when aimed down sights. However, the cone of spread when you're ADS'd goes up considerably for most guns if you start moving. And most guns, when you're ADS'd and moving, you're not moving that quickly. Bullpups give you an advantage there. But PDWs, they don't suffer an aimed accuracy penalty for strafing, except for the AS Val. But the Val is a bizarre gun. There's no other way to put it. So when you get into a close-range gunfight, the advantage for the PDW is to keep strafing. Make yourself a harder target to hit. And hopefully the accuracy penalty, that you don't take any accuracy penalty for doing that, and if the other guy tries to do the same, he'll be less accurate. So that is, in theory, one of the biggest advantages of the PDWs. Now you can compare that to something like Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3, where the combination of damage profile and fire rate means that the SMG's advantages in Modern Warfare games tends to be their fast times to kill in close quarters, whereas it goes up quite a bit longer further out you get. However, in Black Ops, that's not the case. The assault rifles have times to kill that are on par with the SMGs. And so, like Battlefield, they both do this weird thing where the guns that you're supposed to be able to spray and move around and hip fire people have small magazines. And so the idea that you're going to be stealthy to get an advantage, so you're going to spray and pray to get your advantage, are kind of at odds, because getting both extended mags and suppressor, well, it varies from having to sacrifice things, like you have to take a Warlord as your second perk in Black Ops, to being impossible, so that if you want to run a suppressor on a PDW, I would suggest the P90, because anything else, and the magazine size is too small to take advantage of the whole kind of spray, and, you know, get in a ridiculously inaccurate close-range gunfight, because trying to make the other guy even more inaccurate is more important than preserving your own accuracy. Alright, now before I talk specifically about the PP-2000, let me just say that it works for me. It may not work for everyone, and in general with these games the guns are fairly well balanced, not always, but in general you just want to take what works for you. If the PP-19 works for you, then use it. Don't force yourself to play like someone else or use what someone else says is good when it doesn't work for you. So, with that out of the way, let me talk about the PP-2000. Now, and maybe some of this is specific to the console and the whole 30 frames per second, but I find that most of the high fire rate guns, I can expand the entire magazine before I realize I'm off target. They just shoot so fast, and so the lower fire rate PDWs and oftentimes assault rifles are my preference. I don't, you know, unless I know that I'm gonna have time to wait to be accurate, you know, which is kind of at odds with the whole strafing and shooting and spraying everywhere thing, I don't really want one of the high fire rate guns. The other thing being, the PP-2000 is a 25 damage weapon up close to about, I don't know, 11-12 meters, and it packs a punch. Now, it means you could drop someone in 2 headshots, but now that's kind of an unusual case. But the thing is that the total time to kill isn't too much worse than a lot of the higher fire rate, slightly lower damage PDWs, while at the same time I can hold the trigger down for a very long time, and the total amount of damage in each magazine is very high, which is what I want to do with this PDW, especially if we're headed into a competitive scene where if I was trying to run around with a silencer, I'd get called out, and the silencer wouldn't make such a difference. So, essentially, that's it. I mean, yes, I kind of like the slightly better recoil profile of the PP-2000 compared to something like the UMP-45 or the PDWR, but at the end of the day, it's just the sheer amount of damage and how long I can hold down the trigger with the thing. That's why I like it. That may have something to do with my poor accuracy or the console or whatnot. I just know that it works for me and I like it. So that's why I like the PP-2000. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later.
But I mean, like, you still, on Battlelog, there's no defib stat tracking, you know, for your kills. Come on, of course. I asked for that
If I would get defib tracking, it's all like...
Well, I mean,
BF3 stats not have it? Because they have a lot of other stats. Oh, yeah. So they don't track it at all.
BF3 stats tracks it, kinda. Like, it doesn't track it on your main page,